Welcome to the Savvy Dentist podcast with Dr. Jesse Green, the show where great dentistry meets great business. Listen in each week as we bring you an inspiring person who will share their story, ideas and business techniques to help you create a practice and a life you love. And now introducing your host, Dr. Jesse Green.
Hi everyone, it's Jesse Green here. Welcome back to SavvyDentist.com and to the Savvy Dentist podcast. Today, I want to have a conversation with you about the word entrepreneur and what it means to be an entrepreneur. For those people who are younger and haven't been around dentistry for many years, it's important to understand that what is now cool was once not. And what I mean by that is about 10 years ago, being called an entrepreneur as a dentist was possibly the worst thing that could be said about you. It implied that you were only ever interested in money. You probably overserviced your patients. Heck, you probably would sell your grandmother if you could make $1 out of it. It was not a nice thing to be called. And whoever called you that generally didn't think very highly of you. And it was a backhanded compliment. And it was said with a certain amount of condescension and in a really patronizing tone using, I guess you're a bit of an entrepreneur. And it was a word used by the establishment of the time to put down younger people who were coming up through the ranks who didn't see things the same way they did. Now, if we fast forward 10, 12, 15 years, the word entrepreneur is now really cool. Everyone seems to be an entrepreneur. We've seen dadpreneurs, mumpreneurs, stay-at-homepreneurs, every kind of preneur there is around the world, even dentalpreneurs, right? And of course, being an entrepreneur is actually not a bad thing. Being an entrepreneur is someone who starts an enterprise, someone who takes a risk, someone who employs people, someone who adds value to the marketplace, someone who responds to changing market conditions, but someone who creates something out of nothing, almost they conjure up something out of nothing. And of course, there's this great desire to follow people in the influencer space, people like Gary Vee and others who talk about being an entrepreneur and celebrate entrepreneurialism. And of course, we now put entrepreneurs up on a pedestal, whereas once they were considered to be almost less than worthy of breathing. Now we've elevated them to almost demigods. And I just want to challenge that notion as well, because I think the first definition was particularly unhelpful, but so is the second. And I think there's a whole group of people talking about entrepreneurialism in such a way that it doesn't make sense. Not everyone needs to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. And you can run a perfectly great business without being an entrepreneur, without you having to use the word hustle and pivot in a sentence. Oftentimes I see people, recording their videos in the backseat of an Uber using these buzzwords, these catchphrases, and it's all quite hollow and all quite vacuous. And what I'm trying to say to you is that if you are an entrepreneur, that's okay. High five to you. Let me cheer you on and celebrate your success. But if you're not that kind of person, if you don't feel like that and you're thinking, is there something wrong with me? Is there something that I'm missing here? Let me tell you very, very clearly, there is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing that you're missing. Being a small business owner, a medium-sized business owner is perfectly fine. You don't have to be putting yourself out there in the backseat of an Uber using catchphrases or buzzwords to run a fantastic business. You don't need to be caught up with the hype of all of this stuff, because ultimately business is a game of fundamentals. It's a game of doing lots of little things right on a consistent basis. It's a much deeper process than what we see portrayed in social media. It's a much deeper game than what many people would have you believe. And so if you're a genuine entrepreneur and you're out there, shaking out the world, then I salute you by all means. But equally, if you're a dental practice owner and you're hearing all this stuff and thinking that there's something wrong with this equation, then you're absolutely right. I do believe that the word entrepreneur has been misappropriated once again. And we're now overemphasizing the value of entrepreneurialism and holding it up on a pedestal such that if you're not on that pedestal, then somehow you're not actually running a true business. And I just want to disabuse anyone of that notion. I want to make sure that if you're running a successful business, go for it. You're doing a great job. You don't need to be, holding yourself out there, in the backseat of an Uber, recording Facebook Lives every second moment of every second day. So if that's you, I salute you as well. But just remember, entrepreneurialism was once a dirty word. Let's not let it become a filthy word, okay? Let's make sure we give it the kudos and the meaning that it deserves, but equally give kudos and meaning to the people that run great small and medium-sized enterprises. So that's it from me, and we'll see you next week. Bye now.
Thank you for listening to the Savvy Dentist podcast with Dr. Jesse Green. For more free tools and resources, join the free Facebook group. Visit drjessiegreen.com/Facebook. And for more episodes, visit drjessiegreen.com/savvydentist.